to keep in mind is that the Langmuir model, when people are talking about Langmuir absorption, you should have this picture in mind. Okay, so the Langmuir absorption isotherm, this is known as Langmuir absorption isotherm. The coverage should have sort of like a leveling off effect. So whenever you see this kind of curve, you should be reminded that, oh, this looks like a Langmuir absorption isotherm. What you're plotting here is basically the coverage dependency on the partial pressure of the gas that you have. And that is reasonable. Why is this reasonable? Well, because if you have not so much partial pressure, everything, your coverage should increase very rapidly as you're starting to fill up more and more your absorption site, right? It becomes harder and harder to fill it up, so it should level off. Okay, so initially, most of your absorption sites are empty, so it rises rapidly, your coverage rises rapidly as you increase the partial pressure. As you above a certain partial pressure, it will be flattened off because even though you have more partial pressure, you have more gases hitting your absorption site, it will not help anymore because once you're above a certain threshold, you saturate your probability of coverage. Okay, so you should approach one, total coverage, right? One is coverage of one, meaning every single absorption site it had absorbing out. Okay, so simply quite reasonable, right? So Langmuir's give us a very reasonable chemistry concept that's related to common sense, that this coverage should just, depending on, have a leveling effect on this, on the partial pressure, times the total pressure, is my partial pressure. Okay, so I'd like you to sort of think about this, right? Because this is the very famous Langmuir absorption isotherm that people often use in absorption. This is the first approximation that people use. It actually can also be related to biochemistry, related to the enzyme kinetics, and so forth. So whenever you see an absorption isotherm-like picture, you think of Langmuir absorption. This is the first approximation that we have. Okay, so I'm going to stop here today. Next day, I will talk a little bit about kinetic approach. Some of you have asked me for an extension on the term paper, so I'm going to extend the term paper to the final exam deadline. So you can hand in your term paper at the final exam date. Okay, so it gives you guys a little bit more time to work on this final exam, on the term paper, which may or may not be a good thing because you may just leave it to the last minute along with studying for the final exam. The final exam is, I believe, was on the 20th.